Yeah, let the humans do what AI cannot do and let the AI do that humans don't need to do. SEO is not dead. It's only dead if you're doing it the old way.
Welcome to Digital Dominance. On this podcast, I bring you expert tactics and tools to help you turn your online presence into your biggest sales asset. If you want someone on your team to help you navigate the world of digital marketing, head over to FroBro.com. Question: how many opportunities is your business losing right now, today, simply because someone didn't get a call back fast enough, or your website didn't show up when a potential customer went looking? Well, today's guest is Brian Hong. He's a New Orleans entrepreneur who's been in the SEO trenches since the year 2000. That's right, since Y2K. He founded Infinitech Designs back in 2008, and since then, he's built out an entire ecosystem of businesses sitting at the intersection of AI automation, digital marketing, and data intelligence. So Brian helps owner-led service businesses and growing companies that are losing opportunities to slow follow-up, disconnected tools, or poor online visibility. He's got Flowbots AI. He's building AI receptionists and workflow automations that handle lead intake, qualification, scheduling with big, easy data. He's turning visitor data into actual marketing insights. And through Infinitech Designs, tell me if I'm saying that right, he's connecting all of that to SEO and paid media that actually converts. So what makes this conversation timely is we're going to talk about SEO in the age of AI search, what to automate first in your business, and where the human touch still has to remain non-negotiable. So if you've ever wondered whether AI automation is actually practical for a business like yours or if it's all just hype, the next 25 minutes will give you a lot of food for thought. So Brian, welcome to Digital Dominance.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah, and obviously you've been in SEO since 2000. That's almost the entire history of modern SEO. So I'm curious to hear, how has your approach to digital marketing evolved as you've watched search transform itself over 25 years?
Wow. A distilled version of that is in the year 2000, I was a link spammer, and there's these things called guest book, and I had a guest book spammer, and it was all about links. He who had the most links won. Back then, Yahoo was the winner. I was building websites on front page using tables, and that was the equation. And you could sometimes refresh the page and see your rankings jump. And back then it was Yahoo, and then Google came into the space. But fast forward to today, links are still important, but it's more about building a brand. Like, you can't do those arguably spammy topics as much. And it's more of a holistic approach. Sum of all parts is greater than each part. And so really the most popular question you get is, what is SEO? How do you do it? Is a little bit of everything. Topical relevance, brand mentions, build your brand, entity optimization, link building, interlinking, siloing, technical SEO, on page, off page, list keeps on going.
Yeah. Well, and to that end, you've got 4 different ventures, but they're all kind of connected. So we mentioned in the intro, can you tell us how those pieces fit together? What is the through line there?
Sure. So Infinitech Designs is the full stack digital marketing agency, the SEO, AEO, GEO, Google ads, Facebook ads, et cetera, so on. And so that's introduction, brand, product, or service. We're your megaphone. And then if you look at the average funnel, it's generally awareness, consideration, desire, conversion. And so if we're creating that level of awareness, we need to move into consideration, desire. And sometimes that's being top of mind. So we'll build automation systems. And that's kind of where Flowbots and Big Easy Data comes in, is we're generating leads and opportunities, make sure the phone is answered. Who is that person? Know something about them before we talk about them. That's Big Easy Data. And then follow up in perpetuity and try to convert that into a qualified opportunity. Usually that's a booked appointment. And so we can automate that and increase productivity without increasing headcount.
So you kind of covered the whole end-to-end customer journey almost, which makes it really easy because, when someone comes to you and says, I want to use AI, where do you tell them to start?
It's usually an audit, and I'm trying to identify what are the growth levers. It is usually I want to help them. People more often attribute value if I can generate them more revenue. The other part of that is save them money. So either save on expenses or generate more revenue. And so it's kind of a discussion to see, what are you doing now? And what are those opportunities where maybe you don't need a human doing that? And if you do have a human doing that, maybe you need less humans doing that. And typically we're trying to create human in the loop systems, not to necessarily replace humans, but replace the humans you don't want working for you. Your kind of C players, your D players, and taking your B players and making them A players and making your A players A plus players. So 10xing productivity of your best employees. That's kind of our primary goal.
Do you see, is there like a consistent trend in terms of like the actual cost of slow follow-up, for example? Do you have numbers on how much revenue businesses lose just from responding too late?
It's such a wide range. I mean, I also own a construction company. I've leveraged these skills to get equities in companies, just kind of my resources. And one of them is a construction company. And so looking at that, we're high ticket. Average job can range anywhere from 15K to, we just closed a 350K job. And if that's coming in through the pipeline, that's a call I never want to miss, because you don't know when that 350K job is coming in.
Yeah. So obviously that would hopefully come through in the audit. You kind of figure out what areas are most important, what to focus on. What about what decisions should always remain human? Even as automation gets more sophisticated, if you find something like, hey, this is, maybe we shouldn't automate that. Where's the line for you?
I think the decisions. AI is not making the decisions. It's accelerating you to make the most informed decisions, to be in a position of calculated risk, collecting the data. And so you're making data-driven decisions. So it's an accelerator. It's not a replacement of you making the final decision.
Okay. So it's fast to implement stuff and execute, right? But you don't want it to be the one making decisions. So let me ask a question then, because, for example, an AI receptionist, right? You've got FlowBots. What does that interaction actually look like? And how do you make sure that the AI on the call is not making decisions for you? Because doesn't it have to have some leeway in terms of answering questions or scheduling, or how do you figure that out?
It's making decisions on when should I book this appointment? Is this person qualified? The most popular inbound thing is, how much does it cost? Let's talk about it now. And it's not giving that. It's not giving you the price. We need to do a site survey. So it is programmed, and we create guardrails to kind of go towards the primary goal of qualify them and get them on a booked appointment to talk to the human, to give them the pricing, do a site survey, and kind of analyze the opportunity.
Do you take the approach of disclosing I'm an AI assistant, or does it just sound like a human?
We do. The first thing is called Alexandra. We name a lot of them, but it specifically says I'm an AI assistant. And it's funny how these humans, I think most of them don't know, and they just still talk to the AI like it's a human. Either they don't care, but I feel like a big portion of them, they don't know, even though we clearly say it within the announcement.
Okay. And is that a legal decision? Is it just simply ethical choice, or why did you decide to go that way?
I think it's both. I think state to state, there are some laws around you have to announce it's AI, whether it's inbound, outbound, especially an outbound agent. And we have, even when you fill out a form, we check this box as saying, I agree to let an AI assistant call me. So
nice.
The same reason you said liability, just in case laws change, I don't want to make that change later. Just do it now. And so the goal is not to trick people, and we tell them we're an AI, but we still are mindful to create a human-like experience as much as possible with an AI voice with low latency that actually has these human mannerisms and human intonation.
Right. And I think that's important, because obviously this is the first touch of your business, for a lot of the folks. And so you need to make a good first impression. I think a lot of owners might worry that this could make the business feel cold or impersonal. So obviously you said you've got intonation and things, and people feel like that's good enough. It's close enough to match the experience.
Yeah, I have the receipts to prove we've booked thousands of appointments, right? I wouldn't use if it didn't work. And if people are hanging up, I can't think of one where the person cursed out the AI, but it's one out of literally thousands. And I talked to him. He's like, you just lost a customer because I talked to an AI. So that's going to happen, but it's literally one that I can think of out of thousands. So the benefit has surpassed anything else. It's going to help us more than hurt us using this AI system.
What about when the person on the call says, I'd like to speak to a human?
Well, I have a human in place. So we always have an option of live transfer. Yep. We always keep one human.
Okay.
I used to have a call center with 30 people in it, and I got rid of that and essentially replaced it. It was out in Nicaragua, near shore. And so I used to resell this as a service to clients, but that I don't need it anymore. And I always encourage every business, keep one human for that situation where we're not trying to do total human elimination. We're trying to 10x the productivity of the human you want working with you.
Yeah, well, I think that's important, because a lot of people have this like either or mentality. Like, I either switch to AI completely or it's all my humans. But that is mostly AI, and have a human fallback. I think that's a good approach.
Yep. Yeah. Let the humans do what AI cannot do, and let the AI do that humans don't need to do. And you kind of create better job satisfaction. And we're seeing a shift too. Like when I started this in 2023, we had our first kind of AI system for answering phone calls. You did get a lot of hangups. Well, fast forward today, I think people care less. It's all over the news. As long as you give me the outcome I want, I don't care. Just give me the outcome I want, and people care less. And the technology is better.
In a lot of ways, it's a better experience because the phone gets answered immediately instead of sitting on hold for 5-10 minutes or whatever it is, right? Or just going to voicemail. So that is an improvement in that sense. Here's another question. What is the biggest misconception that owners have about AI automation before they actually implement it?
They think it's easy. They think usually is create one agent to do everything, the master agent, the super agent. But the way we deploy it, we create hyper-specialized agents. And so we kind of have like a generalist, specialist, hyper-specialist, and every single agent talks to each other. In some cases, we'll launch hundreds of agents, otherwise known as the agent swarm. Every agent will talk to each other, report back to the layer above it, and report back to the orchestrator. And we use different language models for each level. So there is some complexities in building it. But it's not like one agent we just build that is the super agent that knows all. And so we're very intentional on how we silo that information, the activities we make one single agent do. That prevents hallucinations. It prevents making stuff up, creates guardrails, token optimization, and just accuracy.
Are you building this on top of like OpenClaw or something, or have you kind of created your own infrastructure?
We built this from the ground up. This is not an off-the-shelf solution. We do use 11 Labs as our voice bank, and so we didn't build that. But in terms of the technology, it's built from the ground up, which allows us to be very customizable, integrated in CRM. You don't have to switch tech. We can layer our tech on top of your tech as long as there's an API. But so I'm familiar with OpenClaw, and we use that in other use cases, not for this, but we switched from OpenClaw to Hermes Agent, and now I'm a big fan of Jack Dorsey's Buzz, and so we're switching over to Buzz, kind of making that migration.
Okay, very cool. I mean, there's so many options and that are coming out all the time, so you can't obviously jump around too much because there's a switching cost. But yeah, it's nice to have options. So when you first talked about the different areas, we talked about whole customer journey. You've got intent, you've got audience data, there's identity resolution, attribution. Can you kind of just break that down into plain English for our listeners real quick? What does that actually translate to and mean for a local service business?
So a couple different ways this tech can be leveraged. You can come to a website. I have a pixel that fires, collects your unique device footprint. That's kind of your browser type, font size, fonts you're actually using, your IP address, all of that together. We then also have a licensing deal with 89 different data providers. We're able to de-anonymize who you are without you filling out a single form. It's about 50%. So you come to my website, approximately half of those people, I'm going to collect 300 or 400 different data points on you just by you simply visiting a website. And so I'll know name, email, address, phone number, affinities, interests, hobbies, credit score, financial picture, value of house. It keeps on going. Usually when I demo this live, they're kind of creeped out, and this is only legal in the USA, illegal in European Union. God bless the USA.
Well, and it's interesting because some people don't care. They're like, well, the information's out there, whatever. Other people find this super creepy that you can pull together all this info and they didn't tell you, and they feel almost, like invasion of privacy. So is there a responsible identity resolution approach? What is the line that you draw in how you do it? Is it just how you speak about it, or how do you approach that?
I mean, it's happening whether you know it or not. Big Brother's watching. Siri, Apple, they're all listening to you. You can download your entire search history from Google. They're tracking what words you type in, websites you visit. They're tracking your GPS on your phone. It's happening. Whether you know or don't know it, it's happening. And there's way more data being collected on you beyond what I'm collecting on you. And so what we don't do is get that information and pick up the phone and call you. Right? There's TCPA compliance. Right. I'm not trying to get any fines. It's a more subtle approach where you could come to a website and I can send you a postcard in the mail because I get your address. So I'm remarketing, retargeting you, keeping my brand top of mind. It could be take that information and sending you a cold email through a separate email server. Those are probably the more popular, and actually the number one most popular is taking that information and building a custom audience on Facebook through Meta ads, LinkedIn ads, and any network to say, hey, serve my ad to this person who's already known. The awareness has already been experienced because they visited your website. So just say, hey, don't forget about me. You visited my website, raising your hand trying to be top of mind. I'd say those are the three most popular use cases with this data.
Okay. Yeah. And I'd almost say it makes sense to act on their intent that they've shown, right? They're interested in X. So now you can show them options for the X service, right? Mm-hmm. Which is different than sending them a direct message and was like, hey, I saw you visited my website. Want to get on a call? That feels like, whoa, I don't know. Like you have the same info, but it's just how you use it, like you said. And I think, yeah, that's a good way to do it. Can you give us an example of a business that maybe was sitting on demand they didn't even know they had, and how having this data helped them capture it?
Yeah, so let me go over the use cases. Pixel on a website, collect that information. You now kind of know who your visitors are. You can lead score them. You can run a Facebook ad campaign. Maybe it's a Facebook lead form. They fill out a form. Now you can lead score them because they're entering their name, email, address, phone number. I take that phone number and email, and I'm going to de-anonymize you. So I know your financial picture, where you live, hobbies, affinities, interests. You hand that to your best salesperson. You have 10 opportunities. Focus on these first because they align with your customer avatar. The third bucket would be, well, what if you get no traffic to your website? What if you're not running a Facebook ad, but you want to run a Facebook ad or any type of ad, LinkedIn? Then I'm covering about 95% coverage of the USA, and I'm tracking everyone's behavior. So if you're saying I'm looking for roofers, then I can pull that audience, say, well, here's roofers. And you say, well, I'm not for people looking for roofing. Well, you may say, I'm not looking for everybody looking for roofing. Only people that have a credit score of 700, that live in a house greater than $500,000, that have an interest in home improvement. Well, then I can take that bucket and chop it up, and I can say, here's your audience, and then you can upload it. So those are more popular use cases than someone sitting on demand and let me stick a pix on your website. That's usually not the first thing we do, which we can do. More often, we're saying, what's your customer avatar? Who is your audience? Are you running ads? Well, let me give you that audience. Spend more of your budget on audience conversion instead of audience discovery. Instead of saying, hey, Facebook, go find my audience. I'm looking for people looking for roofing or whatever service product you have, even e-commerce product, you say, Facebook, here is the people I want to get in front of. Here are the people I want to get in front of. Serve my ad to these people. So that creates budget efficiency. You spend more of your budget on convincing someone to buy your product versus go find my audience.
Mm-hmm. So here's a question then. Obviously, this isn't for everyone. If someone's a solopreneur or they're just doing networking meetings, they probably aren't ready for this. Where is the inflection point in a business's growth where it makes sense to actually implement some of this level of AI and automation?
You're typically spending, $10K and up somewhere on Meta ads, or LinkedIn or YouTube, anywhere that allows an upload of a custom audience. I think Google Ads requires 50K in ad spend or greater. So usually Meta Ads the most popular ad exchange, but you can go do a Google search and you'll find a lot of TikTok does it, Snapchat, LinkedIn, just Google SHA-256 or custom audience upload or whatever it may be. And those are all opportunities with Meta kind of leading that charge. So people already spending money on ads usually is a good fit for this product.
That makes sense. So let's move on to SEO for a little bit, because I know we want to make sure we cover that. And this is a big one for our audience. I think there's a question, how is it different optimizing for AI overviews, ChatGPT, Perplexity, compared to traditional Google SEO? I want to hear your thoughts on this.
It's do everything you do for SEO plus now more. Right. And so SEO is not dead. It's only dead if you're doing it the old way. And that's kind of like the clickbait headline. So you still need to focus on your primary pillars of SEO. Technical SEO, that's going to affect crawl budget, site speed, core web vitals, robots.txt, LLMs.txt, et cetera, so on. You want to have a fast loading website to affect crawl budget. So these crawlers come back to your website more often and spend more time there. So technical SEO, you want that in order, which you can also pull from Search Console with errors, indexation, list keeps on going. And you have on-page SEO. For on-page SEO, it's your standard stuff, your heading tag, title tag, but you need to be more mindful the first 150 to 200 words. You want to think about adding bullet points or tables because AI loves bullet points and tables. You want to think about the last 150 to 300 words. You want to think about authorship. You want to increase your EAT scores, expertise, experience, authority, and trust. So you still need to do that on page, but maybe a little bit of a twist of being mindful of bullet points and being mindful of search intent of that beginning of your content and end of your content. But you still want to interlink it. You still want to do your siloing, and then you still want to do your link building. But what is a layer that kind of the extra layer for AEO and LLM optimization, it's going to be really building your brand. That's going to be social media referral traffic, and also back to the on page, ensuring you have full topical relevance, optimizing your entire website for entities. If you don't know what entities are, they're the nouns of the internet, helps clarify who you are, what you do, where you do it. All Wikipedia pages are entities. Not all entities have Wikipedia pages. A quick way of identifying entities, type in your seed keyword, go to Google, click on images. You're going to see a horizontal line of words going across the top. Those are all entities. And Google's pretty much telling you what entities are associated with you. So be mindful of entities. Be mindful of getting really positioning your brand in areas that ChatGPT loves, otherwise known as ChatGPT citations. That's going to be Reddit, right? They have a licensing deal, respectively, with Google. I think it's like $60 or $70 million per year that they're paying for accessing Reddit information. So getting brand mentions in Reddit, but also YouTube, because Google's going to trust Google, and Google owns YouTube. So making sure you're launching your shorts. Also LinkedIn, which is arguably the number one ChatGPT citation source, getting Trustpilot reviews, getting topical relevance. All these things I'm talking about is building a brand, right? And so build your brand, have an omni-channel presence, and make sure you build more content, but that content must be intentional. Don't go to ChatGPT and say, write my content. It has to be properly formatted content that matches search intent, that has full topical relevance. And all this stuff is SEO stuff. And that's what you need to be doing. And the extra layer is be very mindful of the question-based content. And so you can go, we use a tool called alsoask.com, answerthepublic.com. You can go to the auto search complete and type in your search query and see whatever Google says below it. You can look at the people also ask. There's so many sources to get that, but start building question-based content.
So here's another thing, because obviously that all makes sense, right? I think with AI, it feels like the barrier to entry is low, because now I can have it help me write content. It can scan my site, look for technical issues, blah, blah, blah. However, at the same time, it feels like the barrier to actual relevance is higher, because ChatGPT and them are actually curating for you. And so if you're not the top one or two, maybe three now, you used to be okay if maybe you're ranked fourth on the Google first page, but now you're invisible if you're that far down, because you just take whatever ChatGPT tells you. So it almost feels overwhelming. So like, okay, yes, I'm doing all that stuff, but my competitor's doing it just slightly more. Am I ever going to overtake them? Like, how can I get to the volume that I need, or the breadth that I need, whatever, in order to actually make a dent in this?
The pie is big. The majority of search is long tail search, not exact match, right? The majority of search is not roofing company or roofer near me or whatever it may be. The majority of search are sentences and phrases. And so there's opportunity there. That's why you need to build question-based content. The opportunity is narrow, and you feel like it's very competitive if you're going after all the same keywords and queries as your competitors. So think bigger and think wider, because there's millions of different ways to ask the same question with the same intent if I'm looking for a roofer. And that's why you want to build question-based content. So think bigger and think wider. And after you go wide, you want to go deep. You want to have focus. And all of this is part of your topical map structure for your website.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you phrased it that way, because it is possible. You gave websites that people can go look at, Answer the Public or whatever, to find out phrases that people are typing, and then go make content that answers that. That's the A to B, like to Z, done. So I know we're already coming close to our time here. If a business owner has a limited budget, maybe they're not at that 10K a month in ads already, how do you help them prioritize? Do they keep investing in visibility first, or do they do a little bit of automation to help them along? What do you typically recommend there?
I think you need kind of your launch pad before you build your rocket ship. And your launch pad is your website, topical relevance, your social foundations, sign up for every social network, and go start creating content yourself. You don't have to pay someone to do that. You can do that yourself. Maybe you don't want to, but that's something you could do yourself. So that's really the entry point. Do that at a bare minimum, is start building your brand.
Okay. And so with going forward the next few years with AI automation and visibility and search, where do you see this going? Is there anything for local service businesses specifically that they should be watching out for or trying to get ahead of?
Websites are becoming bottom of the funnel, right? For the longest time, it was top of the funnel, introduction, brand, product, or service. Even if you look at Google Search Console, you're going to see a lot of impression share drops on clicks dropping. but impression share.
Right.
So we used to always monitor clicks, but if websites are becoming bottom of the funnel, because I see Google AI overviews and we're not getting as much clicks, and it's just changing, is shifting that mindset, and building a brand now is more important than ever. So getting branded searches, doing your social media, getting social referral traffic, that's probably now more important than ever. I feel like digital PR is alive more than ever. Getting third-party mentions and having an omnichannel presence is, when I started this, it was just like Google, right? Now it's like Google. Now it's ChatGPT and Perplexity and Claude, and there's so many choices, and it's overwhelming. Yeah. There's 5 different social networks. You kind of have to do it all. The sum of all parts is greater than each part.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that feels overwhelming for a lot of smaller businesses. But I think as you grow, you can have a team to help tackle this. It just needs to be built into your mentality of how you're approaching the market, right? This is just a table stakes. If you're going to be in business, you got to commit to some level of creating this online presence and maintaining that and growing it. And that's the only way forward. So, Brian, this has been a really good conversation on where digital marketing and AI automation are actually headed. We hear so much hype about what AI can do, but this is really nice hearing kind of the practical reality of what's actually working, what you're really doing in businesses, what's possible. And I love that you highlighted how this doesn't fully replace the human element in your business. I think people are worried about that, but it's removing the friction so that the human element can actually shine, let us make the decisions, do the important stuff. Yes, it'll help with faster follow-up, giving you better data to act on and all of that, but that is in service of building better relationships with your customers. So before we end, if there's people who want to learn more about what you're doing, all the tools you mentioned that you offer, Brian, where should they go?
My agency website is infintechdesigns.com. Flowbots.ai is my AI automation agency. BigZData.ai is my identity resolution, high intent consumer signals. And I could keep on going. I mean, I don't want to keep on listing stuff. I also have a conference, rockstarsconference.com. We kind of teach these things. We're in our 15th year. We're hosting in New Orleans this year, first week of October. I also have another agency called magisterdigital.ai. Those are the things I'm most focused on.
Awesome. Well, we'll put all the links in the show notes for people. Guys at home, remember, somewhere in your business now, there's a lead going cold because nobody followed up fast enough. So this week, audit your response times. How long does it actually take someone on your team to respond to a new inquiry? If you don't know the answer, maybe that's your starting point for now. Well, thank you all for listening to Digital Dominance. Please subscribe, leave a review, and take care. We'll see you next time. Thanks again, Brian.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Digital Dominance. If you enjoyed this episode, would you do me a big favor and leave a review? It really helps more service business owners discover the show, fix their websites, and grow their businesses the right way.